Welcome to the Soulish Podcast. My name is Whitney Apke, and I am your host. I'm so excited that you are here to listen to my new podcast series, Soulish. Here, I'll be talking all about the ish of our souls. The ish being negative thought patterns, blockages, challenges, but also the victories, aha moments, and breakthroughs we experience in our mind, emotions, and will. We'll dive deep and talk about everything in between, of course. I'm excited to share my experiences and thoughts, as well as bring on guests who can help us make the connections between our spirit, soul, and body. It's my desire to uplift, encourage, and inspire you in each podcast. Welcome to the Soulish Podcast, everybody. Thank you so much for listening again to another episode. Today, I want to talk about living without judgment. I think this is very applicable to our time right now in our society and our culture. It's really difficult to go about our day without having one judgmental thought. And this can be a judgmental thought against yourself. It can be a judgmental thought against somebody else. I mean, for me, driving is a number one trigger. Whenever I drive, it is so hard to not have a judgy thought about a driver that is either driving distracted or just completely unaware. Maybe culturally, they're driving for the first time in America, or they're just new to the U.S. driving laws, California state driving laws. But either way, I always catch myself because I realize hey, I need to give this person a little bit more slack than that. Because if I was having a bad day or I had just a lot on my mind and I wasn't driving very consciously, which is never good, I don't recommend it. But let's just say I was having a really bad day, right? And so I'm maybe kind of hugging the left or hugging the right of my lane, not necessarily in the middle, and that's making other people nervous. They honk at me to let me know, hey, you need to wake up, drive straight. I feel like that's part of life, is when we're especially going through something really difficult, it's really hard to be present because we're just swirling with all the details of everything that's going on. And I think especially right now with the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement that is, very heavy in our culture, our society, our country right now, all of these things we're really dealing with. In California right now, we're dealing with the wildfires on top of COVID, on top of Black Lives Matter. And I know that this is just compounding all of the stress and all the work we need to do in order to relieve the stress and to give each other the benefit of the doubt and to give each other space to be human beings. I think that's all really huge, right? And so I really felt like this topic of living without judgment is more of a call to take arms, in this sense of, let's talk about this. Let's talk about judgment and what it is and how it kind of is a sneaky little thing in our lives and how it can actually break us down and cause us to be really critical, which I did an episode a couple episodes back, right, on critical thinking, being critical, being judgy. And this is kind of maybe a tag onto that last episode, but I really felt like this dives deeper into living without any judgment, not just critically thinking and ruminating, right, on being critical of yourself, critical of others. But this is more of judging someone, judging yourself even, being harsh on yourself. So I think judging someone isn't always negative. To judge is simply to form an opinion. Like in a courtroom, when someone is either condemned or freed of allegations or accusations against them, I think that's a good example of it's not always negative. It could be that you're free from guilt, right? From whatever you're accused from. But either way, there's a verdict made, right? Whether this person is guilty or they are not guilty. And so I think judging is more on deciding whether or not someone is, a person of value or not worth your time, right? Or so who you want to invest in. Or it's it could even be to the racial, injustice point that we're dealing with in our country right now, that someone, because of either the color of their skin, the culture that they come from, their background, that makes them more disposable, which is an awful word to use right now, but I'm just going to say it because it's true, that they're easier to treat, not with justice in mind and not with humanity in mind, right? Of like, this is still a human being, whether they're different or than you or not, doesn't matter. They're still a human life and they deserve to live and be treated fairly, right? Not to get all political on y'all, but we all feel it, right? And it goes both ways, where we say that and we believe that, but then we're frustrated with either, like what's happening with all of the vandalism and people just torching cars, torching stores, stealing. And a lot of it is not even like people from that city or even that state, and they're coming over just to destroy things and to take advantage of the situation, right? And we even have that with the wildfires, where people will go in and take opportunity to loot. And it was on the news. It's probably anyone who's watched California fire news. You guys know that, like, even we had a firefighter who got robbed, and here he is fighting this fire, trying to save lives, save homes, save the forest, and he gets robbed. And it's just not uncommon, right? And it doesn't matter your race, your cultural background. It doesn't matter. Anyone can steal, right? Anyone can rob. Anyone can stoop that low as to loot, vandalize, all of that, and stand behind the curtain of the cause, right? That is happening, and that is a real reason why people should be marching, why they should be protesting, why they should be speaking out against injustice, and especially racial injustice in this country. But it's sad that we put a stamp or label on certain cultures, races, all of that, right? And we call them minority races, which, to be honest, I really hate that. I get why we say that, but I hate that. I think that it's because of the stigma. It's because it does get perpetuated by situations like this, which is unfair also to that same community that is demonstrating those types of behaviors and injustices as well. And so it's really hard to, like, how do you judge then? Like, how do you decide what's right, what's wrong? And I think bottom line, when we are judging someone, and even within ourselves, because there's not ever a decision that we make that isn't complicated. There's always things in life that it's like, yes, no, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Does this fully benefit me? Does it not serve my life? So it's even within ourselves, we have that conflict as well. It's not just within our culture and our society, it's also within ourselves. And as we live life and we're on this journey and we're trying to heal, we're trying to restore, we're trying to live our best life, right? And enjoy our life, pursue our dreams, discover what we are passionate about. So it's really hard to not, I guess, to not be critical of ourselves as we live our own lives, as well as other people, societies, cultures, races, genders, all of that, right? Like there's so much that goes in with human life and our human experience in this world. And so I just kind of wanted to lay that out there, that to judge is not necessarily always negative. It is saying someone is not guilty or guilty, or this is right or wrong. It's both, right? So often when we judge, we're forming a negative opinion. And why is this such a big deal? I think it's a big deal because it doesn't seem like having a negative opinion of someone is inherently wrong. And so because we think it's not wrong for me to have this negative opinion or negative judgment about somebody that clearly is in the wrong, right? So from our perspective, all around our world, people take advantage of authority, right? It happens with top government all the way down to someone like a police officer, or even a security officer, even, anyone with authority. We even see that with teachers in a classroom. So it happens anywhere. And so The problem is that when we are critical and judgmental by default, it indicates a heart problem, a soul problem within us. And this is the main reason why I even want to have this conversation, because it's the problem is within us, not the person or persons we are judging. The problem with being critical and judgmental is it reveals there is something unhealed within you, especially if you are openly critical about yourself. Then we know obviously there's something that's not healed, right? That we were wounded, traumatized, we were betrayed in such a way that we are not healed within ourselves. We want to believe the best about people, and I'm that person that I just think so highly of people. I believe the best about people. I think people rise up more than they fall in this world and in this life. And unfortunately, we don't really see as much as people rise. A lot of people that rise to the occasion to be a hero to somebody, the news doesn't highlight that. They maybe highlight one story a day or a week, but most of the news is very negative, and negative driven, and because that is more of a story to tell. That's more of something that's going to grab the audience, right? And so I think that's what's hard, is we don't so much see how many people rise up for other people and step in and save and rescue and help people and are kind and compassionate and preferring of others and show love. Hey, it's me. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am a certified life coach, and I have been coaching and mentoring people for over a decade now. I specialize with issues of the soul, no surprise there, and can help you realign with your values and purpose, break free from emotional blockages and negative thought patterns, and you will feel motivated and encouraged to take the necessary steps to living a fulfilling life. My clients are people just like you who want to have connected and positive relationships with their friends, family, and significant others, break free from addictions and bad habits, heal emotional issues and trauma, and experience spiritual breakthrough and energetic healing. Because as we go through life, we encounter challenges and hardships, and sometimes we need someone to help us keep going or to make adjustments that enable us to overcome and grow, and most of all, enjoy our life. My sessions are designed so that you are completely free to address whatever you feel is most important. If you are interested in meeting with me one-on-one, then go to whitneyapke.com/coaching and sign up. Your first session is on me. I think often when we have unhealed hurt, in order to protect ourselves, we separate ourselves. And that mentality of separation acts as a poison that can then spread throughout our souls, because the point is we are not separate. So even if someone betrays you, you can almost see it as I've betrayed myself. Because if I truly believe that we are one, right, that we are all connected in some form or fashion. Yes, we're all separate entities, human beings, souls living separately, right, from each other, but we are still connected by the same energy and that same spirit. Then I understand that this is an aspect of myself that is also unhealed, and I'm experiencing this kind of in an external way, not an internal way. And so I just send that person love and light, which is all I can do, because I love people and I love myself, and I know that we're all on a journey. And so I just wish that person well. I wish that they come into themselves, they come around that mountain, and they realize that this is actually an empty way to exist and live their life. When we get hurt by somebody, it's never a reflection on us. It's always a reflection on them. But what's hard is that we do personalize it, and we do make it a personal attack, right? That there must be something in me that is not valuable enough, or not worthy of this person coming out of their bad person, bad side, bad alter ego, right? Like there has to be something there. And so I think when we are critical because we are self-protecting, we are therefore not open to connecting with others. And this is our inherent nature, which is to connect. So when we are self-protecting and not connecting, then we are refusing to be in a natural state, right? That we long for, that we need. And I think that's been the thing with this whole pandemic, that as I've had different conversations with people, it's really not about anything else other than connecting. And whether that's just smiling at somebody at the grocery store, which is really hard being masked, right? But I think we all have figured out like the squinty eye look, that is them smiling underneath the mask. But I even sometimes I'll say it like, thank you so much. Oh, hi. How are you doing today? And because I know they can't see my face, so at least they can hear my voice and know that I'm giving them a verbal smile, right? Verbal acknowledgement that they're there and human. And even helping someone's, like in my apartment complex, this poor lady had a bunch of Amazon packages, because that's kind of how we're living life right now in isolation. And poor thing she could hardly carry the packages stacked up past her head. And I just grabbed the door and said, here, let me help you out, And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, I could have just walked out with my one package and just like let her handle herself, right? Which is what I think we're used to doing, because we're like, well, you got to be 6 feet apart, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't in any danger. It's a 2-second, she passes me by. We're about 3 feet away. I extended my full arm out so that, I'm as far away from the door with the door space as well that I can be, so that we're at least as distanced as possible. But of course, I'm going to be human, and I'm going to give her some kindness and some compassion, because we all need that in this world. And that's a moment of connecting with somebody, right? It's small. We're not having a conversation sharing heart to hearts, but it's a moment to connect. And then I feel more human. I feel more real, even to myself. I feel like I am aware of the people around me, and I'm willing to be kind and open and compassionate towards people, because we're all human. We're all going through this together. And if we don't act like we're in this together, then we're going to definitely feel very isolated, right? So how do we heal ourselves and stop being critical or judgmental of ourselves and others? I think first, don't see yourself as separate from unhealed hurt. Embrace and forgive yourself and those who hurt you. I think that's really step one of healing and not being, stopping that critical judgmental cycle within yourself and towards others, is to not see yourself as separate. What does it mean to lovingly observe? I think to lovingly observe, it means to see ourselves in others, to see what someone is experiencing from their perspective, not our perspective, like putting yourself in their shoes. And also observing like the choices that they are making, the reactions that they are having, and not immediately forming an opinion of that person, but just kind of stepping back and going, yeah, I can see that. I can see why that person would be acting that way or reacting that way or making those choices in their life, because they're coming from this perspective of this history in their life, these past experiences. And maybe you don't know much of this person, but you can just probably imagine like this person's been through a lot probably. For them to have that kind of a reaction or to make those choices in life, they must think that they don't have any other options, right? And then even if someone is treating people well, you think, wow, this person has really made it through a lot. Guaranteed they've probably been hurt and rejected, betrayed. They've probably experienced some level of trauma, and they've overcome that, and they've chosen to heal and work on themselves and look at the wealth, of kindness and compassion and love and wisdom that they have. So I think that's where we come through on lovingly observing people, is that we observe them with kindness, compassion, love, preference, and we put ourselves in their shoes. And I believe that everyone I encounter in my life are divine opportunities to connect and relate and lovingly observe. I really do believe that no one that I have ever met and shared my life with, big or small way, is by chance or by accident. I truly believe that every meeting, every friendship, every relationship serves me and I serve them, whether it's long-term or short-term. And I truly believe that. So when I go into something, I know that this serves a purpose. This is either going to be a rough lesson, or this is going to be a great lesson and opportunity to grow in a positive way, or this is going to hurt. And I can decide, though, how much of myself I give to either one, whether it's a positive experience or negative experience, and whether it's long-term, short-term, it doesn't matter. But I think the big ticket item is that even though you're lovingly observing somebody and you're putting yourself in their perspective, you're putting yourself in their shoes, you still make sure that everybody earns what you have to give. And I don't mean like the freebies of kindness, compassion, and like love towards people, right? But it's the things of wealth, sharing those hard experiences in life, sharing of your heart, right, in a way that you would only do with somebody who's earned it, and who has proven to you that they're worthy of having that knowledge and that place in your life, and that they're trustworthy, that they do actually have your benefit in mind as much as you do have the benefit for them in your mind. And so I think that's the difference. It's lovingly observing people, but of course, keeping that wisdom of everyone has to earn everything I have, but I can give kindness and compassion and love to people. I can value people still on that same level of we are all human beings having a human experience, and we're all on a journey of healing and growth. And so there's no judgment, even if somebody is making awful, degradable decisions in their life, they are still worthy of living, right? They don't need to just be like taken out. Like you should just exit Earth real quick because you're not making great decisions for yourself or others. There are consequences. There are definitely punishments, whether it's karmic punishments or actual physical punishments, as in you get jail time, you get ticketed, you lose that friendship, you lose that relationship, whatever it is, right? Or you lose your job for lack of integrity. Things like that, right? Definitely happen where there are consequences to every action. But I think that when we lovingly observe, we don't judge people for making poor decisions in their life. That can be an indicator that we need to not necessarily trust that person, right? It just means that we still show them love and kindness, but we also set boundaries and limitations. It doesn't matter where I am. I just always try to share some sort of kindness and compassion. I try to never be in my head or also task driven that I miss an opportunity. I don't want to miss one opportunity in my day, to be there for somebody in a way that is easy, simple, and should be free, which is to be kind, compassionate, understanding, and loving of people, willing to step in and help somebody. Doesn't matter. If it's at the grocery store, they're having a hard time with the card reader thingy machine and I can help out with that. I don't care. I don't care how it is. I'm willing to help out anybody, right? And just show some kindness and compassion because we're all in this together anyway. So I hope that this was a good episode for you. I hope you got a lot of nuggets out of it. I definitely have been chewing on this for a long time, and so very happy to be able to share this with you and to share my heart, be vulnerable with you and open, which is what I have always promised to do. And I would definitely love to hear comments and DMs and all of that around this topic. I would love to hear your opinion, your experiences. So please go ahead and DM the I Am Soulish Instagram with any comments, questions. If you just want a place to unload, that is still a place where you can definitely unload with respect and kindness, of course. But I think it's good for us to have a voice. It's so important. So I Am Soulish is definitely a community where we can relate to each other on all levels, and including this. And I try to not be political. I try to talk on more of the soul issues, right? Of mind, emotions, and will. But these are topics that we have to discuss as far as being judgmental and critical of other people. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and definitely share it with people. Make sure that people that you love are hearing good things and are being able to be fed with good topics, good discussions, and are able to also engage in a way that maybe they weren't engaging before. And I think that's really important. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Soulish is not only a podcast, but a community where we can relate to each other and support each other in our soul journeys. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at I Am Soulish. See you next week.